I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back, tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression, it's all that I wanted. The phone and affection, I summon and dub it, cause I got problems on problems.
Hey, what is going on, people? Welcome to another live video. We are going live on a Monday, and I hope you guys are having a really great Monday. I know Mondays are very kind of like, they have a stigma. You know, everybody has the case of the Mondays. You're going back to work, you're going back to school, stuff like that. I will say, if people are really kind of in that dredge of back to work, back to school after the weekend, Twitter has been absolutely on fire today, and a couple of those things are a couple of the topics that I am talking about. And for your pleasure, I am joined by none other than my brother K Mega. What is up, bro?
What's going on with everybody, man? What's happening, man? Good to be here. Definitely want to talk about this. It's going to be one of these Mondays where, man, I'm going to be talking a lot on these, not only on social media, but I'm going to do a video after this myself. So yeah, it's
about another topic that's also kind of like really important, kind of getting a little bit of a damage control out there by some people in the gaming community. That's going to be really interesting, bro. Do you want to let people know now, or are you going to wait until you go live to just let them know the topic of what you're talking about?
Oh yeah, no, I'm basically just going to talk about this whole Chimera thing. It's crazy. I don't understand what's going on with Platinum Games. This whole situation where they did a video where they're talking about, hey, Microsoft, email me about Scalebound. We want to do Scalebound. Now you want to do Scalebound.
Right.
So yeah, no, I'm definitely going to go.
Yeah, I was gonna say save it for that video.
Yeah,
man.
I want to save it for
You gotta go in depth right there. Yo, what up, young kneecaps? Thank you, brother. You gotta let K Mega know I have really good taste in music. By the way, he said my intro music is lit, bro. Lit.
That's good because I taught you well.
Oh man, yeah, you can't take that, bro. Well, first off, I'm gonna switch scenes here because let's get into the first topic as people get in. It's a lighter topic. It was something I was waiting all day yesterday for. I was checking my phone periodically, going on Twitter periodically, because our brother Ed Boon said that yesterday was gonna be the day that we saw Spawn in Mortal Kombat 11, and yo, brother, it took him until 8 p.m. Eastern to show that, man. I was waiting all day, but we're gonna switch over to what they showed. All right, so this way, if you haven't checked it out yet, you can definitely check it out. But yeah, so I'm switching it over now. K Mega, I know you have a delay, but I know you saw the trailer. You're a big Mortal Kombat 11 fan. I believe you're a Spawn fan as well. What do you think about what we're seeing here with Spawn? Does he look like a decent character to you? Do you think they represented him well in his player model? What are your thoughts, bro?
Oh no, he looks great. I really enjoyed his player model, the way that he played. And actually, I got to give myself a little bit of kudos because I called it. I called it when we did next podcast. I told him that he was going to be a heavy, but he was going to be a zoner type because of his shield, his gun, and his and his chains. And sure enough, he plays a little slower like a heavy, but he has that floating ability and he can disappear, which is crazy. And then also with the fact that he's got the guns and he's got good range and mobility, and then he's got like I think even in the comics he's had a sword, but in here he looks like he got a club. So they did him right. And then plus you can never go wrong with the voice of the Arbiter. I can't remember the guy's original name, but yeah, like no, the voice acting is top notch. He looks fantastic. His fatality looks sick. I liked his even better though. His whatever that thing is with the super kill thing or whatever. I like that. I like that even more better than the fatality, but no, they did him justice, and it seems like a lot of people are pleased with him. So Like right there, where the part where he walks up and it's kind of like a counter, and then he does the double guns, and yeah, man, it's dope. It's dope. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, dude. Growing up, you know me, man. You've known me for like absolute ever now. Like I
Yeah.
grew up in the comics. Todd McFarlane, Spawn, was definitely right up there on my list. I love the fact you're right, man. They made him a big dude, but he really does. He controls space. That's what he does with his chains, his guns, his cape. I thought he was going to be a little more defensive because with that cape, he covers himself up a lot with his cape and stuff like that. I do, for him being a big guy, I like the speed. What is going on, Ice Queen? Finite Rich actually said Battletoads has been canceled. I did not get any information about that.
What?
If you're following me on Twitter,
I'm looking for that
yeah.
now. So go ahead and finish up while I'm looking for that.
Yeah, don't make me. My battle cry will turn into a cry of sadness and tears if that happens, man. But yeah, I think they were so far into development. I don't see them canceling, especially with their whole buying studios and filling up kind of like Game Pass and everything like that. I really don't see them canceling a game like that. But if you have any information, send it to me on Twitter, brother. But yeah, I love what I'm seeing here. I love, if you notice when you watch the gameplay for Spawn, you can see a couple of the different costumes. He has kind of like that V on his chest where there's red under it and black on top. He has one where he has a bandana over his mouth, which is kind of weird because he has, the mask and everything like that. But, the traditional black and white costume with the red cape is definitely what I'm going to be hooking my Spawn up with. And I'm really interested in his second fatality, to be really honest with you. Showing that, he's got like hints where he pulls like hands out of hell on his kind of like, that kind of like bone crusher move or whatnot. And seeing the end of the trailer where he's literally bowing down in hell to the devil makes me wonder if the second fatality is really going to go over the top with that aspect, man. I don't know. I'm really digging it. I really like it. I wouldn't say it's worth the wait. Mega, you know how I feel about how they release these characters in this combat pack, and I really hope they kind of change some things moving into the future. But it's definitely really, really exciting. What is up, Antonio? Good to see you, brother. I'm not getting any confirmation about that Battletoads cancellation.
Yeah, man, I'm looking through it. I don't see anything about it. So yeah.
All right, I think somebody's just trying to troll me a little bit there, bro.
Yeah, I think they are.
Oh my goodness. Do you have anything else to say about Spawn before we start moving into the I would say the more dramatic topics?
Right. No, I just think that they did a good job with him. I think the wait was well deserved. It looks like it's just like I was explaining on Next, is that the reason why they got these gaps is to make sure that these players don't become too OP or have certain things that when they like if they all did bunch them together, you would have like this situation where players would only like just play with one character that might just be nerfed and just constantly just barrage people with that same character. So I think the spacing is the proper way to do it, and it looks like they did Spawn right. Like I'm just saying, they made them just fast enough, and they especially design. Especially like they showed the two different suit models of him. So I mean, of course, the customization is going to be sick with him. So I mean, no, they did him right. I just can't wait to play him. The one question is will I be 100% right on my theory and wonder if he's going to be more kind of like an advanced type character like Raiden.
He looks like it, man. If you notice all the grabs with the chains and stuff like that, and one other thing that I like, and I'm not saying NetherRealm kind of like tries to go and be politically correct with things, but Spawn was heavy with gun use.
Right.
All right. And to see him using the guns, like when he was walking forward, with his full automatics just going forward, Dude, that brought a smile to my face, knowing that, because they could have just went with the cape and chains and kept that out of it, but they put in, pretty much every aspect of how, Spawn fights, how he defends himself, and I think they did a great job, man.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I agree.
All right, yo, shout out to Lady Foxfire. What is going on, lady? Good to see you in the chat. Anthony Chipmunk, what is up? Finite Rich, oh man, Yakuza 0 is so good. Brother, I still haven't played that yet. I've been playing a lot of Ori and the Blind Forest. I just got absolutely addicted to that game. Ori 1, I got addicted to it again, and I'm going in and trying to get all the collectibles and stuff. Although, my time is running short here before the sequel comes out. I don't know if I'm going to get it all done in time. Speaking of that, let's get into the whole buzz around Ori and the Will-o'-the-Wisps. I just call it Ori 2. That is a pretty long title. I like to shorten it. So, yeah. Ori 2. Now, I will say I've been talking to a couple of the reviewers out there and kind of trying to get a handle on what's going on with the game, because for some rhyme or reason, Moon Studios and Xbox, they didn't send me a copy. I don't know what's going on there. But you do see out there on social media, people talking about game freezes, some glitchiness in the frame rate and game freezes, and people are going kind of nuts on Twitter about this. K-Mega, have you seen that? Like, where people are really going to town on, like, oh, yo, Ori 2 is broken. Look at that. It freezes and stuff like that. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen quite a few people try to jump on the bandwagon of saying that Ori is completely broken. I've looked at one person's steal, and he made his analysis without showing the gameplay, and then I've seen another person show the gameplay and actually break down the game and already give the pros and the cons, and the pros were far more than the cons. But yeah, I have seen it, and I've seen this people trying to run with the negative on it.
Now, you've known me for a long time. People in the chat, you guys know me. You're here checking out a live video on my channel. I try to bring common sense to the gaming community. And when people are out there kind of like already saying how Ori 2 is trash, it freezes and stuff, I bring back the memory of what I think was possibly one of the glitchiest games to come out within recent history, and that is Days Gone. And regardless of platform, I bring that up, and I'm like, yo, guys, the people that were defending Days Gone on its release are, some of those people are the same people that are trying to throw Ori 2 under the rug. And I don't know if a lot of people remember exactly what happened with Days Gone, but there was so many bugs and glitches, and people defended it with, well, they're going to patch it. Oh, there's going to be a day one patch. And, they ended up having to put multiple patches out. Now, the development studio for Days Gone did it really quickly, right? But there was fundamental errors where, NPCs would disappear. NPCs would go back to their default setting where they're not walking or anything. They're just standing straight with their arms out, and they're literally floating over the ground. There was a lot of technical problems with that game, and I'm like, why aren't people, the people that defended that, why are they throwing Ori 2 under the rug where it didn't even get the day one patch yet, where that might actually fix everything? I'm hearing there's a massive day one patch for that, where they're going to fix a lot of things with the Xbox One S, because they're saying that there's an issue with the game running on the S, and then the freezing and whatnot. I'm not sure if that's just kind of like, if that's just, quarantine to the S, or if the Xbox One X does it as well. Mega, what do you think about this, man? We're going live. We're going to, fresh sharing opinions and stuff. What do you think about what people are saying about Ori 2? And do you think that, like, I am bringing common sense here with trying to bring them back to quite possibly one of the glitchiest games to release in recent history, man?
Oh yeah, no, you're bringing common sense to it, and I'll even go a little bit further and co-sign some of the things that you're saying, because there have been so many games. I think that has been the biggest argument for so many people, other than the whole microtransactions debacle, or the play to win situation, is the fact of glitches in games, and we have to wait for patches. This is just kind of like a new norm that we've had to deal with all these glitches coming into games uh, at launch. And this just isn't the only one. And again, I think we can even go a step further and say maybe it's not so wise to let people review games at the beginning before they get the patch, because because this is the thing to me that trips me out, right? Like God of War in 2018, some people say it's the game of the generation, has glitches. You could go and look on
Dude,
YouTube,
I
go
shared a
anywhere.
video. I shared a video. There's like 20
I did too.
minutes all the way through of some crazy glitches, man.
I did, and I played it, beat it on the hardest difficulty, and it had crazy glitches. I even streamed it, and there were people that were like, "Oh," because there was a part where I was walking, there was an enemy, and I couldn't grab him. I couldn't grab him. Then he got stuck. Kratos got stuck, and then or there was a time that that his son couldn't follow you, and there was just certain glitches. And does it breaks away from the immersion? Yes, but this is the reality. We've always had to deal with glitches in games. The one positive out of this is that we get a patch. If you was an older gamer like we are, you had to buy when you bought that game. There wasn't any type of review. The only review that you got is
Dude,
what you read in a magazine.
some of the original Nintendo games when I bought them, they were broken, and I already got my mom to spend the money and stuff like that. And it was done. There was no way to fix it or anything. And
Right.
we're living a pretty good life right now as gamers to be able to get updates like that, man.
Exactly. And also, it's just like my favorite game of the generation. My game of the generation is The Witcher. The Witcher was a hot mess at the launch. It was a hot ass mess. It was nothing. It had so many bugs and issues and problems. Another one of my favorite games of the generation is Red Dead Redemption 2. That game had problems and issues. Andromeda, you know what I'm saying? Mass Effect Andromeda. The game was so buggy and messed up that it almost destroyed the franchise. So I mean, look, Anthem, another game that I love. I mean, so this isn't just me trying to pick on because I do love God of War. It's just the fact I'm just making a point. It's always been bugs. There's only a few games that's come out that hasn't had any bugs or glitches, but the more that you play these games, the more that you get into them, the more hours, there's always going to be a game that's going to have issues and problems. Now, again, with this game right here, it's out before launches. They're going to do a patch for it, and if after the patch it still has problems, then I think then it's deemed worthy to be labeled for whatever people
Dude,
want to label it.
you're just reading my mind right now, because
Yeah,
like when it comes out, I'm gonna be one of the first people going in and playing that, man. You know from DMs and everything how hyped I am about the second Ori. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes down to it, I feel like I have a responsibility to the community that if it does come out a broken mess, I'm gonna say it. Like,
yeah. I mean, that's just being a real gamer. Just saying, hey, look, this game is beautiful. It has great moments, but this game has fallen short because it hasn't met the potential of what everybody was expecting. But I think really, in all overall, I think that people are trying to jump on this bandwagon already before the game is even released, is to try to knock it from its potentially 90 plus gamer score.
yeah,
Which, like I said, that's why people shouldn't even put so much merit behind the Metacritic score, and just take the game for what it is, if you
well,
like it or you don't, and forget about that. But I think that this is I think overall, this is one of those things where they want to try to put Xbox in that same position. Well, here comes another game that everybody talks about, and it's still in the 80s. You see what I'm saying? So it's that's why I think the whole overall hate factor, or this whole problematic factor, is in after the patch. Let's wait and see, because actually I've waited for until towards the end of the year to buy Days Gone. I've been playing Days Gone. I've been streaming a little bit, and I like the game. I think the game is cool. I can see why some people didn't. And does it have a couple of bugs and glitches? Yeah, it does. But to me, it doesn't destroy the the immerse. You know what I'm saying? The immerse ability of me just going through it and playing it, and having a good time with it. I take a different approach when I play games. I go in with an expectation of let's see if I like it or not. Not if I got, oh, this is going to be the game of the year. I just go in, play it, and then I go with that. That's how I've always played games. That's how I always will. And just like I said with Days Gone, I jumped in there. I was like, it's not so bad. And then I got myself kind of caught up into the story. Story is kind of bland, but the more I get into it, it's got those features where you can sneak up on people, do different types of things. The Horde, I dig it. So it's not a bad game whatsoever. So I say everybody just be on pause. Don't worry about it until after release, and let's see what the game is like.
Yeah, definitely. Now, when you were talking about review scores and everything, my first kind of like mindset was like meta who, because when it comes down to it, review scores mean absolute doo-doo to me. But
yes.
But one thing I will say, I do use reviews for the technical aspect. If there are bugs, glitches, what they are, what I might, run into when I'm playing a game that I'm interested in. Now, what I will say, right? Days Gone, like I said, had a day one patch, but then had to be patched like many times within a short time. I'm gonna give the studio credit where it's due. They were like, we need to fix this, and they really went in and they really problem solved and got the patches out there in a really like short time period, really quickly, which you got to give them props for that.
Right.
For people who are like trying to bury Ori 2 now, and it's the same people that were defending Days Gone when that first came out, saying, well, it needs its patch. You got to use the same energy. And shout out to my brother Talus. Talus, you should know me better than that. The only reason why I am bringing up Days Gone is within like recent history. You know what I'm saying? Days Gone is pretty much the glitchiest game to come out that we have seen. You know what I'm saying? So it's not the fact of it's one platform versus the other. I really don't care about that. I'm really excited for people who are going to be able to jump in and play Neo 2, which comes out this week as well. I'm really excited for you guys on that. If I had a PS4, I'd probably be investing in that. I probably would have already played Neo 1. But I'm not going to invest on a PS4 when we're in a year where the PS5 and the Series X comes out. I'm not going to invest in a PS4 or PS4 Pro at this point in time. But it's not about console wars for me. All right. Maybe people out there on Twitter that are trying to bury this game and say it's absolute trash, that it's completely unplayable and stuff like that. Maybe they're a part of that whole thing, but I'm not. All right. I think this game has a lot of potential. I love the craftsmanship that goes into making an Ori game, where they go in and they hand draw it, they hand paint everything. Ori 1, they did all the hand drawing, hand painting with two-dimensional kind of like assets, 2-dimensional Ori, 2-dimensional trees. They have gone into a 3D model for Ori 2, and I think people who have seen the gameplay, you can tell it just looks that much better right now. So I wouldn't say it's kind of like Ori's broken and stuff like that. We're gonna have to wait for what the reviews say. I will say this Saturday's next podcast we are having 2 special guests, and one of them is actually a reviewer of Ori 2. So you're definitely going to want to tune into that. He's going to break down exactly what he thought about with playing the game and how he came to the conclusions of his review. It's going to be really interesting. I'm really excited. But we're going to move on to the next thing. And I got to shout out my brother Operation, a.k.a. Oppo. From the GRG podcast, people out there should know about him. GRG every Friday. Come on, people. The GRG podcast, where Operation went out on Twitter in front of the entire community to kind of speak his thoughts on the Final Fantasy VII Remake. And it's not really the game itself. I didn't play the demo. I've seen the gameplay, and the game looks absolutely incredible, guys. And again, this is another thing where people can't bring console war into this because it's coming out on Xbox in a year. A year after it releases on PS4. And what they're doing here is they're making it episodic. So the first episode comes out, and then a year later it comes out on Xbox, which I think even kind of dulls down that whole timed exclusive deal even more, because it's not the full story of Final Fantasy VII. So I don't think like people are going to be really bummed out that, you know, if they only have an Xbox, that they're going to have to wait to play this game. But the thing about it being episodic is the main issue. And it's something that has me thinking about this game and like as kind of like a cash grab, a play off nostalgia for people who have been gaming for a long time, for people who have played Final Fantasy VII on their original PlayStation. Now, K-Mega, you are the creator of GRG, so I don't know if do you want to go in and kind of explain what our brother Operation was talking about and kind of give your thoughts on this? I did a quick rundown, but if I missed anything, man, I know you got my back. What's the deal here?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I could just pretty much just go into detail about what he said. I think you was pretty much right. He just made a great point, a valid point about the whole separation of these games, because there were so many people that were up in arms about the way that other games are being separated from these companies, and so now with Final Fantasy, it seems like nobody's having a problem with that, and it's like it's a catch-22, because you're kind of looking at it from this perspective, like, well, if it's good for this game, then why is it not good for others? And it just comes to the overall fact that it's just favoritism. Now, I don't know if it's just favoritism because of there's because of if it's on a exclusive console, or if it's just the fact of because people like certain companies other than others or publishers. But it is a problem, and the fact of it is it should be a question, because I mean you're getting a game, it's episodic, and I remember when people were first talking about this, there were people that were pretty adamant in saying that no, they wouldn't stand for it, they wouldn't buy the game, they wouldn't do this doesn't sound like a good idea. I was one of those people, like, I'm on the fence, I just want to see how they're going to play it out.
I'm on the fence with this as well,
and we're going to go from there. And now from all that stuff to where people was talking about it and all this, it's gone. The noise is gone, and I personally find it to be problematic. I'll just go ahead and read what he said.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. He said, for years, people swore up and down that these greedy publishers will charge us $60 for less of a game. And here comes Square Enix and Final Fantasy VII Remake, and nobody is outraged, nor did gaming collapse like they said. This community is full of shit. So, I mean, is he wrong though? Is he wrong?
Well, see, and
that's the question.
What really kind of magnifies this whole thing is, I read an article, I believe it was either GameSpot or Games Radar, where they were talking to the producer of the game. And at first, when they first announced Final Fantasy VII Remake, they said, 2 or 3 episodes. And I could see people being like, all right, I mean, that's $180, but when you're talking about a classic game like this, you know what I'm saying? A game that has lived throughout generations. I was like, all right, I can see that, right? But he changed his tune in this article to several episodes, and they're not going to start the next episode until the episode they're working on is released. So if that's the case, think about 5-6 episodes, 2 years in between. You're talking like 12 years before finishing the story of Final Fantasy VII, where they could very likely charge you $60 per episode. And that's the thing that gets me. It's not anything about the game being on PlayStation first. Because I said, well, when it's going episodic, it doesn't really matter. To me, like the whole exclusive deal right there is kind of like watered down even more when it comes to this game. But several episodes at quite possibly $60 a piece. And to me, it just sounds like Square is really trying to cash in as much as possible. Even though the game looks absolutely fantastic, the graphics look great. I love what they did in terms of kind of putting in a feel for the turn-based, with like picking your, you know, you build up your meter and you kind of like pick your attacks, pick your spells, while you're in combat. That feel that kind of brings back that kind of like turn-based feel. I think that's very nostalgic. I think it's a really fresh way to kind of go into the modern with still giving a feel for what happened, you know, the original game back then, for the people who are reminiscing while playing this game. I think they did a great job. But all in all the episodes, $60 a piece, and for the most part, nobody except for Operation. Again, huge shout out to my brother Operation.
I'm glad Op is, because he's more of a kind of a silent type, and I'm liking the fact that he's feeling more open. You know, especially since he's been on the podcast.
I would say hanging out with that crew over there at GRG, man.
You know, you got to be boisterous. So again, it's good that he's coming out more and expressing himself, and he brings out legitimate questions. I mean, this isn't something that I don't think anybody could actually just come out and say, no, he is wrong, because there has been a huge group of people in the community that were all against what Square Enix is doing with Final Fantasy. There's a huge amount of people in the community. So now it's all good and it's all love. And I'm trying to grasp, why is those people in the community not coming out with the same type of outrage like they would if, let's say, this was EA doing it?
EA, Activision, you know,
I'm not even going to go with Activision, because everybody says they hate COD, but COD every year is the #1 selling video game. next to if Rockstar wants to bring their behemoth game, you know what I'm saying? So, or any of their behemoth games that people just love to play. But yeah, every year. So Activision can just get away with anything. Even with the fact with Destiny, when they were with Activision, they would still get away. People would complain, but they would still deal with it. So I don't even put Activision in that category, even though I know that they're slimier to me than EA. But if this was EA, or if this was a Microsoft published group, I mean, just think about what the scrutiny would be. I don't know.
Yo, check this out. Check this out, brother. Sean Sky in the chat. First off, thank you for hanging out with us. I really do appreciate it. Shout out to the entire chat. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. You know what to do, guys. Hit that thumbs up button. Let people know, you know, share this on social media. Let people know that me and K Mega are live right now discussing the topics of the day. But Sean said, yo, no one is making anyone buy anything. And that is true. But the thing is, if the developers and the publishers don't hear any kind of backlash on stuff like this, they're going to keep doing stuff like this. More publishers, more developers are going to keep doing stuff like this. And there are people out there who will try to push it even further and take further advantage when it comes down to it, of the gamer and of the consumer. And on this channel, we focus on the gamer here. So it's not about whether or not, you know, people can or nobody's being forced to buy anything. You're right. But if this becomes acceptable, then the problem just gets worse. It's like a I hate to say it at this point in time, but it's like a virus. If you don't take care of the virus, it's going to spread. All right. And I think we see that with the whole fanboyism and stuff like that. People didn't nip it in the bud in the beginning. And now that whole console war fanboy shit is spreading like crazy through social media. So, like, you know, when it comes down to it, these developers, these publishers, they need to hear that backlash. They need to see that backlash. They need to feel that backlash as well. And I don't feel like Square, I don't feel like they're going to feel it at all from what I'm seeing from the community. And I don't understand why more people aren't talking out about this, and how come it's absolutely acceptable right now. You hear what I'm saying, K Mega?
No, I totally agree. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We can understand if I would rather them have it in a package deal. Like, you do it. It's kind of like,
Buy it for the future. Have like
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
like have a future pack. Like just have it to where like the Final Fantasy saga, the Final Fantasy 7 remake saga. Have it for $170. I think that would be more acceptable because you would know how many how many episodes you would have. If they were going to have DLC with it, it would be all of just one package. I mean, this is what I'm saying. I have no problem if they would charge $170. I know you'd be like, what? But I mean, as me loving Final Fantasy 7 and play through it, but if they're just going to just focus right on Midgar, there is after me playing and beating Final Fantasy 7, Midgar wasn't that big, and I understand that I've read that they're going to have a lot more content, and they're going to tell more stories within. So it's pretty much they are going to be doing DLC within it, because people get to know more about what's going on in Midgar. But again, there's so much more going on outside of that. So how long will it be? I know that they got the engine already, so it shouldn't take them that long to do it. Will it be they'll come out with a new episode every year, or will they take, like you said, like 2 years before you get the next game, and will this one particular game have extra added DLC with it to where you have to pay for it? That to me is crazy. Like it's just no different than when we talked about a couple of weeks ago about the Division 2, like with this expansion. Like I bought the expansion, it is dope. There's a lot of improvements within the game, but there's no way in hell that I'm going to pay $30 for this expansion, and then you come around here the next month or 2 months from now and say, "Oh, we got season 2. Pay us another $60." I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. So if they are trying to do this and people accept this, then this is just a new hustle. And it's just like with the whole microtransactions thing. People are bitching and bitching and bitching, but this stuff could have been nipped in the bud during the PlayStation 3 360 era.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody didn't do anything but keep continuing to support it. So now we look at what we have now, and I'm afraid that people will just accept it because it's one of their beloved games. And you have to think outside the box and think as a consumer, is this good for your wallet, and is this good for all gamers going into the future?
Yeah, and the thing about it, Arsenic Steel, again, thank you for hanging out with us. I really do appreciate it. But we're not talking about the most important thing here when it comes to playing a game, the gameplay mechanic. The game, I said repeatedly, looks absolutely amazing. I even went into the gameplay mechanic and said what I thought was really awesome about that. But what I'm saying here is, like, I can see them fleshing out Midgar, right? I can see that. I can see where getting out of Midgar would be, would feel like a finalization of like episode 1. I can definitely see that, right? Mm-hmm. But when it comes down to it, I don't know if more people don't think about the rest of the game after that. Like,
right.
How many parts are we looking at here? And are you going to feel that finalization for each episode where you're going to be comfortable waiting another 2 years and paying another like $60 to get back into the same world and continue that same story? You see what I'm saying? That's where I'm on the fence about it. That's the part of it that doesn't have me signing off on the remake to Final Fantasy VII. I played the original Final Fantasy VII. I swear, I lost, like, dates. I lost, like, friends and stuff like that. Man, I killed that game. So many hours put into that game. It took up a lot of my life. And I can look back at it and have happy memories, even with all that losing friends and stuff like that. And I was really excited for this. But I always, from the time it was announced that it was episodic, I always like kept my eye on it, and I always thought about. I'm like, I'm not too sure about that. Yo, what is up, Yobi?
What up, Yobi?
Should I say Dragonheart, brother?
Yes, Dragonheart. Yes.
Yo, what is up, Dead Rising Ninja? Yo, shout out to Ice Queen as well. She said she's playing the demo right now. Yo, shout out to you.
I played the demo. I even showed gameplay of it. I probably will do it again when I do my video a little bit later here. And it's So I've got experience with this. I mean, and I'm one of the people that's going to still buy the game. I'm going to double dip. Um, and it's to me is like, but I still have my concern. And so this is how my thought process it is. Okay, you can fool me once, but you damn sure won't fool me again. So if they do this, and see, that's why I'm saying it's smart for Xbox fans if they choose to, if they have both consoles for sure, then maybe it's the smarter decision to wait to get the complete version by the time that it will come to the Xbox next year.
Well,
Um,
oh, hold
as
on,
for me,
Mega.
I'm just gonna get it because I'm gonna support it just because I'm a fan of it. But I'm thinking I might be a fool at the end of the day because I think everybody's gonna get the better complete version next year.
Yo, Mega, you just brought up something with like you said, the full version,
Yeah.
because with what again, yo, Arsenic, the producer of the game said multiple episodes, like many episodes, and he said that they're not starting development on second episode until the day the first one releases. So, usual game development is about 3 or 4 years, but they have done some pre-development, they have done some pre-production, early development for episode 2 already. So I'm even cutting that down to 2 years. All right, I'm cutting that down to 2 years. So even if you do 5 episodes, I'll even break it down to 4 episodes. Right, 4 episodes, 2 years in between. That's 8 years. By the time 8 years goes by, how far are we into the next generation? And how close are we to the generation after that? So I kind of like what you're saying here with getting kind of like the complete edition, because whatever powerful console is out there, they're going to make like the complete edition at some point in time. We got, we're getting SSDs in the Series X and the PS5. When it comes to the Series X and Microsoft, they're using a machine learning in terms of reducing the file size of game downloads and stuff like that. Like it kind of makes sense to wait for the complete edition there and get everything and to get all the bells and whistles on whatever console it's going to end on. You see what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, no, and you're right. And that's the thing to me is where it would be smart. But see, they're not going to do this. They're not going to have a complete edition version for you to buy right off the bat. And that's just telling me that they are going to prolong this. And to me, this could fall in the same category as the Final Fantasy 13 saga. You know what I'm saying? The Lightning Saga, I should say, where
Oh my
it's
goodness.
and they where they could just where people they were hyped for Final Fantasy 13, then they were like, okay, yeah, then Lightning Returns, then this and that, and then by that time, people they were done with Lightning. They didn't even care about the conclusion, and
Yo,
so and that to me is where I feel, you prolong it, you can make as much money off of the franchise off you want to off of Final Fantasy 7. People have waited 20 some years to play this game, but it's the fact that there's too many games that's available, that's going to be available now, that's going to be available then, and then of course they're going to be on these new consoles, and we're talking about, we don't even know what's going to be that new phenomenon game that's going to hit next generation, that could take over. And let's say that Xbox or somebody else within, let's just say that there's going to be like Capcom might bring back a real popular let's say a JRPG, or Xbox would bring back Blue Dragon or Lost Odyssey or something like that.
I
It's going
will
to
say,
take a lot of dynamics of things.
hold on. Final Fantasy VII, like what it did at that point in time, and the name that it has maintained throughout the years, even your Blue Dragon stuff like that, I don't think any of that will compare to the size of the name Final Fantasy VII.
I get I get that, but it's also, you have to think about this generation of gamer don't have that what's the word I'm trying to say? They want their stuff right now. They don't want to have to keep having this to wait. They just don't have the patience to wait like that. If you're going to make it episodic and constantly just keep people playing the same, going through it, especially the people who's played it. I think the more the nostalgic people will enjoy it, but for the new gamer that's just getting into the Final Fantasy universe and understanding Cloud and all the rest of them, Yuffie and all them, Sid, it's like, okay, I've been here, I've done it, I'm going to play the next thing. That's what I'm saying. Like it's I don't know. I hope that it's not going to try to push through the whole generation, because if they do, I have a fear that people will be over it after maybe the third episode that they would try to come through and do it. So I hope it's at the most 4 episodes at the most. If it goes beyond, if it go up to me, I would say 3. But if it goes beyond 3, I don't know, man.
Yo,
I really don't.
I need to ask Christopher Hart, what game was developed in 2 years? Like, I don't, yo, brother, again, I appreciate you here. You have the wrench by your name, so you know how much I love having you here. You're a moderator, bro. But I think you just came into it and you didn't realize, when it came down to it, the producer
what does Sony has to do with Final Fantasy? That's not even an exclusive game. It's just a year exclusive.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a third-party game.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it's
a temporary second-party deal.
Second part. Okay,
We'll even go in the
it's
middle.
It's going on
there.
PC and Xbox and maybe on some kind of new Switch or something when it comes in the future. Come on, man, stop that.
But
when
the producer comes out, like I said in an article, and I wish I remembered, it was like I said, it was GameSpot or something like that. But I read the article like 3-4 times just to make sure I had it right, and he comes out and first off, people were thinking 2 or 3 episodes, which kind of leaned me more to the, all right, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But when he he reneged on that and then goes, several episodes. And then he's like, and we're not starting full development until episode 1 officially releases. It's not even going gold. It's releasing. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's things there that would tell me that I'm actually being generous with 2 years in between each episode. All right? I mean, I'm just throwing out that common sense there. I'm doing the research, so you don't have to, Chris. But I'm not really sure how much research you do anyway, bro.
Messy. Anyway.
Well, but I'm saying sometimes the stuff he comes up with, it's only... game development is 2 or 3 years. Really? Then why did it take like 3 or 4 for Spider-Man? Why did it take like 3 or 4 for Uncharted? Dude.
The Last of Us took a whole generation before it came out.
Yeah,
God of War took a whole generation to come out. I mean, big budget games like that takes forever to come out, and especially if they go through. Like there's a part where the developers have some kind of indifference, or then that even makes it even longer. I mean, Halo 5 has been in production for 5 years, so it's like, you know what I'm saying. So it's big budget games take a while to make. So I mean, Gears was an exception, and that was a game that came out buggy and had a lot of problems at the beginning. So I mean, that's one of those things. Again, this has got nothing to do with what Sony is doing. It's just about Final Fantasy and Square Enix.
Square.
It's about Square and how they're trying to play this out. I know they want to make as much money as possible because I know they put a ton of money in that.
Anything about Sony, bro?
Yeah. So it's about what they're doing, and I don't know if the gaming community has the patience to just keep coming back over and over and over again. And now since you over here making this point, Bot, it makes me feel that they're going to throw DLC into this, which prolongs this even longer, and they'll have these cycles kind of like how Assassin's Creed and like Battlefield, like they'll come every other year, like every 2 years, and you got all this DLC. They're going to try to make as much money off of it. And that's all well and good for the people that are diehard fans for the series, but I don't think that there's going to be a lot of people that's going to want to just jump right in if they're going to continue this series to go well deep into the next gen. I just don't see it.
Dude, I
think people get tired of it.
This is absolutely unprecedented. Like, when people started accepting episodic games, it was Telltale with The Walking Dead. But there was only a certain amount of time between the episodes before, they got the next episode. They had seasons. They had, you know what I'm saying? They had like a new season, and then they would have the episodes leak out. We have never seen anything where it's like, yeah, it's going to be episodic. And, with it being such a big budget game and stuff like that, we're not going to start the development until the first episode actually releases. You know what I'm saying? So this is something, I am a potential consumer here when it comes to this, guys. Like, I don't want people thinking that these conversations are like fanboy fodder or something like that, because when it comes down to it, the game, it's releasing on PlayStation, and you said PC, right, K-Mega?
Yeah, it's coming on
all right,
PC.
so it's going to PC as well. It's going to Xbox a year later. It's episodic, so it's not like anybody who gets their hands on the game first is going to beat the story first. You see what I'm saying? And I'm looking at it for you guys and for me as a gamer. I'm like, dude, if they're doing 4, 5, 6 episodes, that might bring us not into next gen, but next gen. And I'm like, dude, I'd rather get the complete edition at that point in time with all like the new consoles, bells and whistles. It's something we never really had to think about before. This never happened, right, K-Mega? I don't remember anything like this ever happening.
No, except for
not to this extent.
Well, no, a Hitman. They did this episodic thing, and you know what? People didn't like it. A lot of people didn't really like it too much. So
and
that's why
published
Hitman's
Hitman?
like $19. Square? No, they're not.
I think it was Square. I thought it was Square.
No.
Yo, people in the chat, who published the episodic Hitman? If you know, write it in the chat, because I could swear it was Square.
Might be right.
I could swear it was Square.
I'm looking for it right now.
Oh yeah, and while you're doing that, I'm just reading, the comments in the chat. Shout out to the 60 people. Thank you guys for hanging out with us on a Monday. I really do appreciate it.
Oh no, Square Enix.
Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
So they already tried doing something like this before with a franchise that has, I would say, more of a cult following nowadays. It was a lot more popular back in the day, but it still has a cult following.
It says Square Enix, and then it's Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. So I think it's kind of
collaboration.
Yeah, collaboration. So
yeah, but they had those fingers in that cookie jar too, man.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, when people are not really liking the episodic thing for that, and I mean, in the game is like $19. I've seen it as cheap as $11, $12, and I still haven't got it. So I mean, I don't know. I got the first one, and I played the first episode and thought that was cool, but then I was like, I don't know. It's just, to me, I understand that these developers and publishers, they want to try to capitalize on as much money as they possibly can. The fact of it is, though, people still want to play complete games, and I don't know if single player games can do that, but I understand that they have to change a couple of things within the work. Because I mean, Amy Henny, even Mark Cerny, they brought up the point of, hey, single player games has to evolve and have to change. So this might be the new way of single player, and hey, we might be concerned about it in this, but it might be a hit. I don't know. I mean, we'll just have to see. I don't know.
Dude, it's absolutely insane. And for people out there not asking questions right now and just accepting everything like that, man, like I said, you need the same energy all the way around the board here. And there are things here that really put up, maybe not a red flag, not a, oh no, I'm not dealing with this at all, but definitely a yellow flag, man. You can't have a green flag for this all the way through if you're looking at this with any like sort of common sense, in my opinion. But it is what it is, brother. I know you got another video, like you're about to go live on your channel as well, so I don't want to keep you too long, bro.
Okay.
out of any of the topics, you know, and any last thoughts or anything like that, and then you could just go in and let people know, you know, what you're going to be doing on your channel and on how they should just go and switch over there right now. And here's something awesome about Platinum Games as well.
Yeah. Man, thank you. The only thing I do want to talk about just for a second is just bring up the point about the about games and glitches. Yeah, I'm going through and just typing in and just said game glitches. I mean, I've seen so many games. Like, you can find videos on all types of games out there. I mean, Death Stranding, like I said, God of War. I've seen that glitch myself personally. You got Gears, you got Days Gone, you've got all these types of The Witcher. You have all these games that have it. Even as many hours as I put into Halo 5, I mean, there's really not so much, I say, glitch, except for, I guess we consider it a glitch, when the game would lock up sometimes and you would have to restart it. Every game has it. You know, these are made by human beings, and so therefore human beings are not perfect, so these games won't be perfect. But I will say, if the game comes out at launch and it is a buggy mess, then people should light it up. I mean, no, you know, Ori has been delayed, I believe, twice. So therefore, it should be as smooth as butter. You know what I'm saying? As milk and butter. If that thing is coming out, and if it comes out to be buggy, if the patches is not getting it to where it's supposed to be, then people should rip it accordingly. But I still say, go in it with be objective. Don't come in. Don't be so objective just because you heard people that's out here screaming, "Oh, the game is broken," and you haven't heard the people having the same energy about these other games. Play the game for yourself. You be the judge. I think that's the overall factor of how we all play these games, and that's just how I see some people in the chat that's trying to say about the same thing about the Final Fantasy situation. Just play the game, figure it out yourself, and think with your wallet. That's all I can say on that. Oh, and also check out the GRG podcast every Friday night, 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. And check out my channel, KMega405. I will be doing a video here in probably the next 30 minutes talking about Platinum Games. So yeah, I was glad to be here. As usual, talking with my brother.
He is going to go in and just whisper sweet nothings into Kamiya's ear.
Nothings.
Yeah, is what he's going to do. Brother, thank you for joining me, man. I put the Hangout link, in our DM. It's always good to have you in here to share your opinions. It's been a crazy, crazy Monday. Shout out to everybody who's hanging out with us tonight. And when it comes to GRG, like K Mega said, every Friday, if you agree with Operation on Twitter, you should be there this Friday night to back my brother up. If you disagree with Operation, you should be there this Friday to prove your point in the chat. That's
Facts,
what you
we'll
need
talk
to do.
about it.
Yeah. But again, huge shout out to the community. Thank you guys so much for all the support for this channel. This channel is constantly growing. It is all thanks to you guys. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have a great Monday, and yeah, we'll be talking again soon. I got more videos planned throughout the week. I'm going to be streaming Ori 2. It's going to be a great week on this channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet, definitely subscribe. But yeah, we're out. Later, everybody.
Peace.
I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems to solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage, I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression, it's all that I wanted. The phone in affection, I summon and dub it, cause I got problems on problems.